Businesses are figuring out how to survive and how to adjust their operations so they can safely reopen. Some new data was released today about the state of Canadian businesses. There's also concern about how outbreaks of COVID-19 inside some big beef and pork processing plants in Canada and the U.S. might impact the food supply chain. David Akin is tracking the government response tonight. David?
Well, Dawna, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau did not offer any specific plans to deal with the supply chain problems affecting beef and pork products. Government is still talking with the industry. But the Prime Minister did say that the safety of workers in those processing plants is at least as important as making sure there's enough hamburger and bacon on grocery store shelves.
The priority for us is both things, keeping people safe and ensuring a good supply of food to Canadians. We will make sure we're doing them both together.
David, Stats Canada has compiled data with the cooperation of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce about the impact the shutdowns have had on a whole range of businesses. What does it reveal?
Well, Dawna, no surprises here. This pandemic has hit business very hard. StatsCan says half of all businesses in Canada have recorded revenue declines of 20% or more for the first 3 months of this year compared to the first 3 months of last year. But 1/3 of all businesses that responded to the survey have seen sales drop by 40% or more in the first quarter of 2020. That drop in sales has led to widespread layoffs. StatsCan says 48% of businesses in Quebec have been forced to lay off some employees. That's the highest in the country. The national average is 41%. The lowest is in Saskatchewan, where just 34% of businesses have been forced to lay off some employees. The hardest hit businesses are, no surprise here, in the accommodation and food service sector. 68% of those businesses have furloughed some employees. And in fact, 1 in 4 businesses in the accommodation and food service sector have laid off all of their workers, 100%. The sector experiencing the fewest layoffs, that would be agriculture and fishery. Just 14% of firms in that sector have reported having to make any layoffs. Dawna?
All right, David Akin in Ottawa, thank you. The UN's Labour Agency released a snapshot of the global impact of COVID-19. It says nearly half the global workforce is at risk of losing income. The International Labour Organization projects 1.6 billion people could lose their livelihoods because of COVID-19 lockdowns. It says people doing informal work with little support or job security have lost about 60% of their income during the first month of this pandemic. It says no income means no food, no security, and no future for millions of workers. Restaurants across the country have either shut down completely or are trying to survive doing takeout. BC is now looking at ways to get them back in business. Robin Gill explains how.
This Vancouver eatery is down to 4 staff in the kitchen. 30 servers and bartenders had to be laid off, but it's open to pickup.
We're probably down about 90% in revenue. Doing this sort of takeout delivery model, it's paying some bills, but nobody's getting ahead.
The restaurant business in Canada is already a tough slog. According to the National Industry Lobby Group, 80% will close within the first 5 years.
The average restaurant profit in Canada is about 4%. So take a model that's pretty challenged to begin with, now add these kinds of challenges.
In BC, the industry is pitching a new model for business unusual. The proposals include temperature checks for staff and customers when they arrive, masks and gloves for employees who pick up dishes, hand sanitizing stations, plexiglass between booths, limiting groups to no more than 10, and reducing the number of seats by 50% to allow physical distancing.
To put together a plan that deals with 2 things, essentially, is really, really high public safety standards that we've probably never seen before, because we need that in order to have public confidence.
But consumers can expect fewer items on the menu and a bigger bill at the end of a meal.
They're going to have to be doing that with the market being receptive to paying more for their food and beverage experiences.
Those restaurants that have agreed to the changes and followed protocols will have a certificate posted outside, because in this industry, it's all about survival in an economy that has become stagnant.
Hopefully by next year we forget all about this.
Reopening restaurants will be phased in, and the industry will likely be forever changed. but it may be the only way to bring back their employees and their customers. Robin Gill, Global News, Vancouver.
The new series that goes inside the COVID-19 pandemic, from the front lines to the everyday heroes helping us cope with the unprecedented change. Coronavirus, the new reality. A Global News special, Sundays at 7 on Global.